This is the K-State Radio Network, and you're listening to Agriculture Today. Welcome to our Friday edition. Dan O'Brien stands by once more to get into the grain market scene. He is grain market economist, K-State Research and Extension, based in Colby, Northwest Kansas. Several things to get into today, Dan, but we want to begin with a quick nod to a webinar that you were a participant in, presenter in, earlier this week. And it was on the Russia-Ukraine situation, the agricultural ramifications. You and a guest speaker who hails from Ukraine, Antonina Broyaka, took on the topic, and very interesting. We're advising people, before we go any further, to go back and look at the video of that, right?
Yes, some of the feedback we had from other seasoned economists outside of Kansas State, we're acknowledging how high quality, in some cases superior, the information was that Antonina had presented, and it's very difficult to get much more than to just generalized observations of what might be there from people that weren't from in country. Well, Antonina has been in country, and she gave a very complete description of where crops were grown, where military conflict had probably done major damage to infrastructure. Talked a fair amount about rail transportation in the country, the availability of crop inputs, the ability of Ukraine to still export through ports, which is limited, and also of the potential to export by rail to Europe, to the West. So a lot of things talked about, and we're just very fortunate to have at this point in time someone with such real-time knowledge and background in that area to be able to describe the situation. For my part, we wanted to be supportive of what she's doing. Although she didn't need much, and then to add in at the end our latest understanding, anyway, of potential impact on world wheat, world corn, world oilseed oil markets as they're affected by Ukraine. And I think one thing to remember is that before all this happened, Ukraine was referred to as the breadbasket of Europe for a good long time, for decades or more. And so to not have that country being able to produce agricultural goods that the world has grown to rely on is a major factor in markets, and not the only thing affecting the inflation and run up in grain prices across the board that we're seeing, but it's certainly an important one.
It was an insightful session. There's no doubt about that. And we have lifted highlights from Antonina's comments, which we will present after we're done right here, Dan. But folks should stay tuned for that and check out the video of the entire session. Very good watch at agmanager.info. Now, to the market action this week at the local Kansas elevators. And you're shaking your head with what, amazement?
Well, we just haven't seen anything like this. At least I haven't in my lifetime now in this type of a position. Now, we've seen major run-ups, of course, during the 2012-13 drought, summer of 2012. 2007, 2008, we'd seen a major run-up in the spring, summer months in commodities. During Chernobyl, again, involving Ukraine in years past, we saw a one-time quick spike and then a quick drop-off once we learned the true extent of what the risk was and damage was. But so at least we can say that now we're at another time of tremendous price inflation. And we've seen, following the prospective plannings report released by the USDA on March 31st, we've seen corn futures up almost every day since then. I think there was one day when it wasn't. But when you look at the chart movement for that particular, for D's corn, you see that going higher. November soybeans have held their own, but they haven't been running up the same way. It sure seems like that given the results of that report from the USDA, that the market, the general market, has seen fit to try to bid for corn acres. And when you look at the ratio of new crop bids across Kansas, the first thing you notice is that, wow, what a bunch of variability. But in looking at, I just kind say the relative prices for new crop bids for about 6 locations across the state and what the ratio is. And remember, a neutral bid is about 2.3. And 2.3 ratio of November futures for soybeans to December futures for corn. For when you look at Colby, starting in Northwest Kansas, a new crop bid for soybeans at $13.97, for corn $7.20, a ratio of 1.94 favoring corn. Then you go to Salina, north central part of the state, central north central. New crop bid 1647 is what I had seen listed off of DTN for fall delivery. 1647 new crop corn 716, a ratio of 2.3. So that's almost neutral. But that's a strong bid for soybeans. When you look at Topeka, $14.52 as a bid. For beans, 705 as a harvest bid for corn, 2.06 favoring corn. Then you go to Garden City, 1407 for soybeans in Garden City, and 765 for corn. By far and away the best bid as far as the region goes in the state, a ratio of 1.84, clearly favoring corn in Garden City and Colby. Hutchinson and Columbus, both with ratios of about just right around 2. So they're also favoring corn right now as opposed to that. And of course, a lot of that's affected by whatever basis these local elevators bring to corn, and then the run up in decent corn futures relative to November soybeans. So we've got this, but yet we're coming into season where almost nowhere in the state, maybe a few places in the south or southeast corner, we have a little bit of corn planted. Maybe we are in April, we're mid-April, so it's going to start to happen in earnest here. But in the midst of trying to get crops in, trying to have adequate inputs, top dressing nitrogen, if we still need to do that, whatever we have to do, we're looking at a lot of economic incentive in Kansas anyway, in most areas of the state to increase corn acres over what had been projected in that March 31st prospective plannings report by the USDA.
We're getting ever so closer to those final decisions on acreage to be planted to what, and we'll watch very closely. You are also tracking what's happening with the ethanol market, and with that announcement that E15 ethanol sales would be allowed through the summer, that is being reflected very much as well in the markets.
And again, Kansas stands out. We have there's a daily USDA ethanol report that comes out. The one for yesterday showed the low bid in Kansas at ethanol plants for corn is 803 and 803 and a half. The high bid 813. There is one higher bid top end in Illinois, but then the low bid there is 766. So overall, as far as the range of bids in Kansas, we have the strongest corn bids at the ethanol input gates that you'll see anywhere in the country, and that's pretty similar. And when you look at what's happening in the distillers' grain market, Nebraska and Kansas both pretty high. I should say that, of course, Nebraska ethanol bids also strong too. A big issue to look at would be the cost of ethanol, the price of ethanol, and it seems that we're going sideways, had gone a little bit lower, now coming up higher. That we're seeing reading news out of ethanol plants and from the Energy Information Agency that stock's being drawn down a little bit, probably in anticipation of E15 adoption this summer. So just quite the time to announce that. And to have us going forward. And oh yeah, by the way, we have a cash corn price of $7 knocking on the door of $8. So clearly we're scrambling in a lot of ways economically in the energy and ag sectors, a lot of inflation. We're not casting aspersions as to what caused it right now. We just have it. And there's a real challenge that's coming in coming months to take very scarce commodities and at high prices, put them through both food and fuel uses, and then come out with something that's affordable for consumers at the end.
And to the scarcity of the grains, the dry weather around the world, not just here in the Central Plains. We're all too well acquainted with that. But there are significant dry weather issues around the globe, and that's just adding to the complications as far as available supply or
Just
likely.
Yeah, you just kind of click through them. The latest international ag reports coming out of the USDA Office of the Chief Economist, indicating Western Soviet Union mostly dry, but rain far south and north, and that's affecting Ukraine. That's affecting Russia. So pretty dry conditions there. Northwest Africa, historic drought in Morocco. So that's driving them to try to buy wheat during a time when it's pretty tough to do so. Pardon me. Middle East, warm but mostly dry. We're hearing of drought effects in Turkey. When you go to South Asia, seasonably hot and dry, affecting interior India and Pakistan. India is one of the countries that we're counting on globally to make up the difference in wheat supplies that the Black Sea issues have cut short. East Asia, hot, dry, weather-stressed crops, and that's a bullseye right on China. There was talk earlier of their wheat crop suffering from this. Australia, they have too much rain in the eastern part, and we've seen that happen before when they've flooded out harvests. So again, Australia being counted on to generally have a good wheat crop to help the world get through this situation, and they're getting too much rain now. And in South America, generally reports of, well, it says drier weather developed in central Brazil. We've had dry weather in Argentina, all these causing problems. So most of the time, I think we've just been assuming those things will work out, that rains will come, et cetera, much less our own problems where we're hoping rains come in the next few weeks to help at least the Western Corn Belt. And so we have dry conditions to go along with these supply disruptions that are occurring. And because of that, you go over the futures, you see May corn closed yesterday at 790, Dees 735, May soybeans 1682, and November at $15. Hard red winter wheat, May 1154, July 1157. So these are levels of prices that just 4 or 5 months ago we'd have been shocked to find ourselves here, but now we're here, and we're high all across the board on all of them.
We would also note that Dan, in his weekly notes this week, has his latest price probability projections for the various grains. We have not time to get into those in detail today, but we direct you to those notes at agmanager.info. Have a look. Dan, lots going on. Appreciate the overview. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Take care.
On the grain markets, K-State Research and Extension, grain market economist Dan O'Brien, and this is Agriculture Today.